Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another What Are You Playing episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's with me tonight?
Oh, I'm not used to being second. I'm normally third. I'm Blair Farrell, the owner of comicbookvideogames.com.
And our special guest.
Hey, I'm Ronald Frazier, and I am the caboose of this gang.
And welcome to your first time on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So we are doing another What Are You Playing? This one for April of 2022. It's been almost a year I've been doing this. Next year is a year that this show has been going on. The What Are You Playing episode show. But the first thing I want to start with is I usually don't play many different games that aren't for the show that I can't talk about too much because I talk about it in a whole episode. But I did, for some reason, it happens like multiple times a year, I picked up Magic the Gathering Chandelier again, which is a 1998 PC game made by Sid Meier. And if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering, it's you play Magic the Gathering duels, but you walk around a world map, you battle random people, you buy cards, you buy food, you do little quests, and I love this game. And I just was in a mood one day where like I didn't want to play anything for the show. I just wanted to do something simple, and I ended up playing it again and beating it in like 2 days. So it's one of my like favorite games of all time that whenever I'm feeling down, I'll just pick it up and play it again. It's on my PC always.
Would you describe it as like one of your guilty pleasure games?
No, I wouldn't say guilty pleasure because there's nothing. Okay. It's not a bad game. It's also like I memorized all the cards at this point because I used to play it when I was a kid. So it's like I don't read the cards. I just see them put the cards. Like, oh, I know exactly what you're up to.
Okay.
So,
You had some heart of the card stuff going on.
Oh, I mean, I make the same deck every time too. I always pick. I don't know if you're familiar with Magic or not, but I always pick red, and I always make a burn deck, and I just beat the game with a burn deck.
I know nothing about Magic the Gathering.
Okay. You have different decks, different colors you can choose, and you can make many different decks. I even have there's a mod of this game where it has every single card from every single edition of Magic in this game, and I cannot play it because I don't know the cards. I don't know how to play. Because there's so many effects that have changed over the years, and I just can't handle it. So every time I tried it, and I just don't like it. I have to play the original one that I know from 97, 98, where I don't have to read any card. I just pull out the card. I know exactly what it is and what it does. So yeah, that's one of the things I've been playing. What about you, Blair?
Something I've been playing. Well, I don't know if I should go hard or go easy. Well, okay.
Feel free, your choice. I know what you're going to talk about. So
yeah, well, I'll try to keep it to a minimum because I can get pretty ranty. So I own a PlayStation 5, and I picked up Horizon Forbidden West, the game that everyone's calling Game of the Year or Masterpiece 9.5 and 10, and I have definitely been playing a different game than everyone else because I absolutely hated that piece of trash. I honestly, and this is not me, I'm being a bit facetious, but I really think that everyone is being far too generous on it. I do not think it's a good game. I honestly think that Guerrilla Games thinks its audience are idiots. Like my friend Devin was streaming, and he was like, "Oh man, come watch me stream." And he got because he's playing PlayStation 4. And by the way, from what he was playing on PlayStation 4, it's perfectly fine. Do not fret about getting a PlayStation 5. Honestly, it's not even worth it right now. And he walked into, like, in Horizon, they have this thing called Cauldrons, and it's essentially, like, for those unfamiliar with the Horizon universe, even though it's, like, a pretty big game, like, you're in a world that's overrun by, like, robot dinosaurs and animals, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff going on, but, like, that's kind of, like, the main gameplay loop, and there's this thing called Cauldrons, and the point is, it's, like, kind of like a platforming challenge. You get to the end, and then you fight a boss, and then you can kind of hack or override robots in the wild so they can fight with you. You can ride them. And my friend was doing one, and this is the thing through the entire game, and this is why I say Guerrilla Games thinks its audience are idiots. Like, he got into a room, and before he could even look at it, like, the main character, Aloy, is like, I think I should jump over here and go here and do this. And he's like, before I even had a chance to look at this with my Devin eyes, she's telling me what to do. Like, he didn't even have a chance to survey the room, and, like, throughout the game, Aloy does not stop talking. Like, she does not stop talking. Like, I honestly wish they would have given her a hilarious, like, robot dog sidekick or something. Just, like, something to banter off of. And it's, like, such a like in the first game, they kind of set her up as like this outcast, and then throughout the course of the first game, she gets friends and allies, and she learns how to trust people. And in this game, they're like, okay, the world is going to die because climate change, and we want to help you. And she's just like, no, I'm the only one who, I'm sorry, I'm the only one who can do this, because she just whisper talks through the entire game. and it's like frustrating, and like the game doesn't really, it's weird because it tells you exactly what to do except for when you need it to, and then you're constantly beating your head over fighting a stupid thing. And it just makes me realize how much I really hate modern game design now. Like I'm totally over it. Like this giant open world with 10 different skill trees and a million different craftable items and everything. Like I never upgraded my pouch because like I don't want to go hunt for a squirrel like in this massive open world. And then like the way the story is, like literally one of the villains is Space Jeffrey Bezos. Like it is not subtle with its writing at all, and it's just frustrating and bloated and pointless. And I mean, it looks pretty, but that's just really not enough anymore for me. Like it didn't do anything for me. And I see so many people and they love it, and that's perfectly okay. But I played the first one. Like I put a good 60, 70 hours, and I played the DLC, and I got like the special armor. I did most of the side quests.
So you like the first one?
Yeah, I was looking forward to this one, but leading up to it, I just started reading the reviews, and people were talking about like, oh man, like you had to get this thing to get this thing to get this thing, and I was like, this already sounds exhausting. And I kind of was a little bit sour going into it, and then I got it, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll warm up to it, but I didn't. And my fiance would constantly come out and be like, I can hear you like yelling under your breath out of this game. Like it was a common occurrence. She's like, oh, you're playing Horizon. And I was like, yeah, and I'm so frustrated.
See, it's a hot take, only on this show. You're the only person I know that hated that game like that.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, and what made me, and now I'll just like kind of leave that behind, saying like, I didn't get anything from it. Like I think the writing is basic, the messaging like is subtle as like a sledgehammer powered with a jackhammer. Like there's nothing.
Okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Story, it's a character assassinates. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with not enjoying games. Like when I played Silent Hill 2 for the show, I didn't enjoy it at all. And that's a great game. It's just sometimes games just don't hit right.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I follow there's a guy in Canada, he's a developer. The name of his company now is Benancy Co. And he made some games, Alone with You, Home, and Worse Than Death, and he loves Silent Hill 2. And I rented Silent Hill 2 a bunch, and it didn't click with me at all.
No.
And then suddenly it just did, which is a good segue into the second game that I want to talk about, because while I was playing Horizon, I was lucky enough to get an Xbox Series X. And something I really wanted to try last year was Psychonauts 2. Because I heard everyone was saying how this game was great. But I never had an Xbox One. I only owned a PlayStation 4, and then I got a PlayStation 5. And in Canada, after tax, Psychonauts 2 is $91 after tax.
Golly.
And I played the original Psychonauts, and I don't know. I think it was because I played the PlayStation 2 version, and I was like, I want to try this, but that's just way too much to try. But then I got an Xbox Series X, and that barrier to entry is nothing because it comes with a free month of Game Pass for like $1. And
That's
that
worth it,
game, people were saying it's, well, like last year it got nominated for a bunch of Game of the Year awards. In my opinion, it didn't win enough. Like Psychonauts 2 is an absolute masterpiece.
I have never played the first one still.
Don't play the PlayStation 2 version. It's also on Game Pass, which is funny because I didn't really care for the first. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And then after I played Psychonauts 2, I actually downloaded the first one because it's also on Xbox Game Pass. And it's rough, but it's really great. And I now want to get the VR game. But it's kind of like I kind of am grateful to Horizon because its stupidity made me appreciate Psychonauts 2 more, because whereas Horizon is this bloated open world like Psychonauts is these perfectly crafted levels, and each of them has to deal with like a certain mental health issue that you're solving. And like one level, you're just in this crazy library, and another is like an overcooked style game show level. And then there's just like a small open world that's just big enough with just enough side quests that it doesn't become obnoxious. And the storytelling is great. It's super funny. The voice actor for Raz, I don't know if either of you watched a show called Invader Zim.
No.
Yes, I have.
Know.
Okay.
I know of it.
So the voice actor for Raz is the guy who voices Zim in Invader Zim, and throughout the game, you get like an ability to summon like a familiar, and it's the voice of Gur from Invader Zim. So I damn near lost my mind. And I finished it, and I was so sad that it was over, but like also I'm so glad that I got to play it, and like I'm becoming like a full-on Xbox guy now. Like I didn't have an Xbox One all last generation because I didn't see the point, but now I don't know how PlayStation can compete. Like I don't think their first-party games are enough anymore, because like in the past month, and I'm now paying for Game Pass, and I'm totally okay with paying, like, I think it's $20 a month here. Like, I just downloaded, because the thing about, like, in the 360 generation, I liked games like Gears of War, but not enough to buy them, because all I wanted to do was play the campaign. And I didn't want to pay $60 just to pay the campaign and then flip it, because I just do it once and forget about it. But now, like, I downloaded Gears of War 4 because Liam McIntyre, who played Spartacus, is the main character, and I want to play that game. And I played the trilogy on 360. And like I wanted to try that Battletoads game that was out. Okay, I played it level 2, it was pretty cool, and I got frustrated and just forgot about it. And now like I'm watching the terrible Halo show on Paramount Plus. And then I was watching it this morning. I was like, this is really bad. I kind of want to play Halo now, though. So I just started downloading the Master Chief Collection this morning. So, like, it's just, you have this massive library of games. And I kind of look at it as, when I grew up, like, I didn't buy a lot of games. Like, I was a big renter. And Xbox Game Pass is modern renting. Like, it's try before you buy, because like with Horizon, for example, if I could have tried that somehow, I wouldn't have paid $100 for it. Actually, it was $100 and more, I think, because I got like some other special edition. But even if I got the normal edition, it's still over $100 here for a PlayStation 5 game. Like, I would have tried it and just got rid of it. And like Xbox Game Pass lets you do that, and it's such a fantastic service. I don't know the business model and how it works and how it's sustainable, but like I'm just all in on the Xbox ecosystem now until Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine come out. Like PlayStation is now my Marvel box.
I'm sure you got a while before that happens.
Yeah, it's 2023 at the earliest, and then the constant delays. And the only problem is, like, I really want to play that new Ninja Turtles collection that's coming out, but my friend doesn't have an Xbox, so I have to buy like the PlayStation 5 version. I told him, I was like, I'm buying this for you. I wanted to get the physical edition for Xbox in Ninja Turtle Green, but like now I'm getting the PlayStation version just so we can play online.
It's kind of funny.
That's a dedication.
Yes, it is. Not dedication I would have, but I give you props. And Ronald, what's something you've been playing this month?
Well, when you announced this on that Facebook page that we're all in, I put that on my comment kind of as a joke that, you know, I am just playing BioShock Remastered Collection, and well, just first BioShock, and it just keeps on crashing on me, and it crashed 3 times, and I was fine until finally it crashed while I was saving, and I lost 4 hours of progress, and I have not gone back since then. Like, I loaded up my game like a week later, and just like, you know what, I don't want to play this level again because it crashed. You know, I played this game a couple years ago after we voted it the best shooter ever, and I don't agree there. It's not. And I would it's a good game. It's a good shooter. It has a good flow and system to it that I can appreciate, but then I just didn't see the point. It's like, it's okay. You guys are insane. But,
it's over. It was over, Blair.
And,
I mean,
you know,
it's a Facebook group.
When you kill Andrew Ryan, spoiler alert, this man chooses slave obeys. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't think it's as cool because it's been spoiled for me for years. But that's the point of the game where you start again, the game gets really hard. You have to go through that level, and then you go to the next level where you become a big daddy. I did that, and it crashed, and I just give up on it.
Well, you were very close to the end then.
I was. The game's longer than I remembered, but it's like I want to save all the little sisters and make sure I have enough health packs and ammo, because I don't know about you guys, but after you kill Andrew Ryan, the game just gets insanely more difficult, and I'm just playing on normal, and it's just like,
well, that's your mistake.
I don't know if it's worth
playing
so.
easy.
I think I played on easy the first time, but I'm like, I'm a real gamer.
No, I play everything on
I want
easy.
I want a real bit of a challenge this time, to see what it's like.
I only ever finished it once. Like I finished it because I only had a PlayStation 3, or when it came out, so I had to wait a year for the PlayStation 3 port, and I finished it once and really liked it, but I think every time I keep trying to go back, I always get bored because I'm just too obsessed with doing the stupid pipe dream hacking minigame on everything.
I don't mind that minigame. I mean, I think because I played it for the show, I think it was, it's been a little over a year. I'm actually going back to it again for someone else's show that will be out later this month, Nomads of Fantasy. And I'm going to be replaying the game again. I have it installed on my computer, and I'm excited to replay it after playing the rest of the series.
My original experience at BioShock was, this is what happens in the first game. Here's the underwater city. I think the city and like the setting of the game outshines what you actually do. So I played the first BioShock, then I played BioShock Infinite. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. Have not gone back to that, but BioShock 2, I really fell in love with, and because I played it like 7 years after release the first time, and I think I'm just trying to play all the BioShock games in a single setting, like BioShock 1, 2, then Infinite. Well, A, just so I can play BioShock 2, but just get a better idea of what BioShock's really about.
2 is really, really good.
Yeah, and that's why I'm probably just going to force myself to finish BioShock.
That's the only other...
Constant crashing.
I've only finished each of these once, come to think about. Like, I remember I finished BioShock 2, and I found it kind of had a bit of a repetitive loop where every level was almost like get here, chase. But I remember it had really good DLC.
Because that's kind of... BioShock 1, in my opinion, is exactly like that. It's, here's a new level, you have to do 3 different things, advance, oh wait, you're stuck again, do another 3 things, now you can progress. I feel like that just happens every single level in the first BioShock. I know the second BioShock has that, but I want to say not to the extent that 1 did it.
The main issue people have with BioShock 2 is that it in a way reused assets from 1 in a way, but it's a new game. It's just set in the same type of setting, so a lot of people were stupid about it. Like, I mean, I didn't play it until for the show. Not that long ago. I think late last year, because of all the hate it got. I never picked it up. I own 3 to 4 copies of it, but I never actually played it. I just kept buying it for cheap. I do that, and I just because it was all the hate it got, and I hated the first one. The first time I played it, so like it's just. I mean, it makes sense. Like some people opinions can interpret a way that you'll affect the game. Like, you might go buy a game called Horizon that you don't enjoy because people said it was good.
Yeah.
So I just think first BioShock's an okay experience, and because my save was corrupted, my friends and I decided to actually try out that Sea of Thieves game. Oh golly, I have even more opinions about that game.
Sure, I want to hear. I mean, I want to hear about it. The only thing I ever hear about Sea of Thieves is CJ from Player One's podcast.
That's what I was going to say. The same thing. He's put 1,000 hours or plus into it.
I don't understand. I love when they make jokes to him about it. I mean, I talked with him once on this show, and I didn't ask him about Sea of Thieves, but I want to be like, how can you play that game that much? So, what was your opinion of it?
Man, I would feel my opinion about it right now is negative. I just think the game is boring. Like the gameplay of like sailing a ship around is fun, but I can't describe it like some sort of Destiny experience where you like search for treasure, get better gear, because so far in my experience there is no better gear. It's just all cosmetic. So why am I a pirate chasing after booty if I can't buy a bigger ship or better cannons? That's just kind of been my experience. But my first night playing the game with my friends, after half of us left, it was just me and my friend. We just started goofing off, and that's probably, unfortunately, my favorite experience with the game, as we set our ship on fire, came back to the ship, realized we had fireworks that we could shoot out of the cannons. So we're in a constant struggle of our ship sinking, and it's also on fire, using these small buckets to put out the fire, running back into the bottom of the ship, fill the water bucket up, and we did that for about 30 minutes, just fighting this fire as we were sinking. And unfortunately, that's part of my favorite experience of the game, because we have since gone on to do... That was a lot of fun, just the two of us, just goofing off, but the 4 of us tried to do the campaign story mode as a game of the Pirates of the Caribbean, and boy, that thing I say has no content whatsoever.
I was going to ask if that came out.
Simulator. What was that?
Because I remember I saw the trailer at E3 and they had or one of those digital events and they had the Pirates of the Caribbean thing, and I was like, oh, that actually looks really cool. I mean, who cares about Pirates of the Caribbean anymore? But it looked cool. So I guess it's out?
It's out, I guess. I played 4 out of 5 missions. I'm not a huge Disney fan and really haven't seen Pirates of the Caribbean. And to me, coming with this fresh perspective, quotation marks, and the game it's built on, I'm just like, this isn't fun. We're just walking around, listening to people talk. If you want to do a drinking game of taking a shot every time you hear "dead men tell no tales," I think you'll be fortunate if you come out alive, because that line is repeated 100 times in the first mission. And the combat in this game, you just stab people until they die.
So I always thought this game was a third-person action game. Is it actually first-person?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
I
made by
never knew
Rare.
that till just now when I'm watching videos of it.
Yeah, it's made by Rare. They did Battletoads, some of those other cool games. It's just, I just don't see the point of it.
It doesn't. I don't like any game that doesn't have a single-player component, like a way to finish the game. If I can't beat the game, I don't want to play it. That's a me thing.
Okay, because I've also been off and on with a little game called Riders Republic, and while that's still an open, huge world, I'm still, it's just fun to go in, ride your bike around, do some skiing, and just explore the world. That has a way to cool off.
I never heard of this.
It's a Ubisoft game. Came out last fall, I think.
Yeah, it's it came out last
game.
fall in October, November. It's a super extreme sports game where you mountain bike, ski, snowboard, jetpack, wingsuits. It's kind of like the game Steep, made by the same company actually, but fully fleshed out with all these different types of sports activities. And you slowly progress, get better gear, and able to do cooler things.
Well, that's cool. I would never play it, but it looks cool. Very particular.
Well, yeah, same here. I think that's kind of my problem. I have all these games on my Xbox, and I just don't know what to play sometimes.
What you do is you make a podcast schedule, and then you have to follow it. You don't have a choice. It works wonders for me. I can tell you what I'm playing the rest of this year, almost.
Oh, no, that doesn't sound like fun.
No, that's why I do this by myself. Because it's hard for anyone else to handle such an insane schedule. And there's one other game that I've been playing off and on for this show now. Final Fantasy VI T Edition. It's a ROM hack of Final Fantasy VI. And I've talked about it before, but I finally got to the World of Ruin. And I love 6. 6 is one of my favorite games of all time. But this ROM hack is the complete version, but I have a hard time with it because I like to grind in RPGs. I like to just level up and and it's hard for me to do that because everything just kicks my ass. This game uses status elements all the time. I have to really actually plan and play more careful than I like to, and I'm not good. I don't like that. I want to just kill everything with attack, so I have to actually try harder. But it's a really good ROM hack. One day I'm hoping to beat it. It's on my phone, so every so often I'll play it when I'm bored or something, or just okay, I'm just going to do this for the moment. But it hasn't happened lately. But yeah, it's a really good ROM hack that if you like 6, I highly recommend it. Play that for a little bit. Blair, anything else you've been playing?
Yeah, before I turned on, or before we started recording this evening, last year I got Metroid Dread, and it's another case of Horizon where I finished that game and people loved it and I hated it.
You didn't like Metroid Dread either?
No. I hate how everything... I've come to realize that I hate combat in games, or games that are just revolve around combat. I really like exploring and cool traversal. And Metroid Dread has that, but every 5 seconds you're beating your head against a wall with some obnoxious stealth section or a hard boss, and I'm just kind of over it, and I won't belabor that anymore because everyone's tired to death with Metroid Dread. It's really just to say that when I finish Metroid Dread, we have a local store here, and I think they have some type of arrangement with Nintendo. So essentially, they were like, we have a promotion where you trade in these certain Switch games, you can get another one for $10. So I could flip Metroid Dread and got Luigi's Mansion 3, and that game is an absolute delight. Because I'm a new-ish Switch owner. I had a Switch, and then I sold it to get a PSVR, and then I bought one again this year. And Luigi's Mansion 3 was one of those games that I was really sad I couldn't play. Shout out to Canada, because it's made here in my country. By the same people who made the awesome Captain America Super Soldier. it's just so it's a masterclass in design because you only have like a handful of things to do. And every room you're in, it's like, how can we think of a cool way to make you think about how to use these handful of things? So like primarily like you're vacuuming ghosts, but you have like, you can summon this like goopy thing called Luigi, and he can kind of go through vents and through spikes, and you kind of use him to like, oh, he's going to walk through the spikes and use his vacuum to like pull a door open so the Luigi can get over. And every boss has like a super cool gimmick, and it's just really colorful and really clever, and like you can play it in for hours or you can play it in minutes. Like I'll go in and like do a room and then it just auto saves and I turn it off. And sometimes I might play for like an hour and sometimes I might play for 15 minutes. Like you always feel like you're doing something and you're not really beating your head against the wall that much. Like if you find yourself stuck, you just kind of look at your room and it's like, okay, I'm going to try all of my 5 things. And eventually, if you can figure it out, you will after you kind of exercise all your options. I don't know how far I am, and like I'm a couple of years late to the party. I'm like the new hotness, but I mean, if you get a chance to play it, like definitely do it. Like it's well worth the investment.
I do really want to play it. I bought it for my son because he loves all Mario stuff, but he doesn't live with me, and I haven't. But it's a game that I really want to try. I played Luigi's Mansion for the show, I think 2 years ago or maybe over a year ago, and that game surprised me how good it still holds up. It's still good.
I'm really sad because I remember like at the tail end of like I think it was like 2008, like a bunch of stores were selling GameCube and PS2 games for dirt cheap, and I bought Luigi's Mansion I think for like $5, and I think I tried it and I just didn't really like it, and it was just sitting on my shelf for forever, and then I sold it, and now it's like $100 to buy here. Like it's just the prices went up, and I know it's on 3DS, but I only have like a regular 3DS, and it would kill my hand to play. But really? I really want to play the first one. I wouldn't mind playing the second one, but again, like I hate playing things on 3DS. Like it just hurts my hand so much.
I'm not a fan of handheld either, so I understand. Also, speaking of things hurting my hand, I was playing a Switch when I was on a plane, and it hurt my hand. I was playing Donkey Kong Country 2 for the show, and it was hurting my hand. And I had to like stop at one point, and just put it down so I could, and then watch whatever the hell the movie was on the plane that I was watching, just to not hurt my hand anymore. So I completely understand where you're coming from.
Are you just using the regular Joy-Cons to come with this system?
No, I have a Switch Lite. Or my wife has a Switch Lite.
Oh, because I was going to say, if you have a regular Switch, I have like these hoary Joy-Con grips that turn like, they don't have rumble, but essentially they turn the sides of the system into like actual kind of controllers. And like every time I go out to say my parents' house or if I travel, like I always take them with me. Like they're a bit clumsy, but they're so much better.
I have debated to buy an actual Switch, but I don't think that's going to happen because I don't like Nintendo as much as I want to because I don't like their pricing. Like I actually just bought my first Switch game for myself. I bought Skyward Sword for $30, and that should not have been $30. Should have been 20 or less. But Nintendo, and I got a deal for 30.
Yeah, that's like here. Like I've been wanting to play Mario Odyssey for forever. And the same store I got Luigi's Mansion was selling used copies last week for $40, and I was like, I have to do this because, I get it because
you're not going to find
like,
it cheaper.
Mario Kart is still selling in the top 20 games in the MPDs every month, so people are buying it at 100. Why drop it to 20? But like, it's crappy because when I had my Switch, when I had my first system, that's what my problem was that all the games were like $100, and I couldn't buy any for it. So like any of the Nintendo first party stuff, like most of the stuff I have on my Switch now is just like games I already own. Like I have like all the Mega Man games. I play them on my break at work, and like I just rebought Resident Evil 1 because like why not? Because it's a masterpiece.
Oh, the remake or the original?
The remake. Both are masterpieces, but
I've never played the original.
If you put it on the show, I'm on it.
Okay,
I'm just calling it right now.
I've been meaning to put it on the show. Actually, I mean, I played a little bit when I was younger, but I've never finished the first one. I've never
play the black box version or the long box version.
I would play whatever the emulation is.
Yeah,
Director's Cut. I'd play.
Oh yeah,
I do want to play it.
Do not play the long box version.
I got into the Snake. I think that's as far as I've gotten before I just quit playing because it terrified me.
First snake or second snake?
First snake.
Okay.
I'm a wuss when it comes to horror games, especially when I was younger. Still a wuss when it comes to horror game. Like, the game that scared me the most ever in my life is Resident Evil 2 Remake. Terrified the hell out of me, and I was 30-something when I played that. And it was October, I was playing it. I played it for the show, of course, and I was in my basement. We just bought a house, and I was just... And the house was still, like, we're still getting used to everything, and there wasn't that much furniture, and that game just terrified the hell out of me. So, good game, though. Still planning to play it again. Ron, you have anything else that you have been playing that you want to mention?
Yeah, I was going to recommend this game, Blair. This game just came out, and since you have Game Pass, it's free, technically. Weird West.
I've heard about this
for the past week. One of those YouTubers, G-Man Lives, I believe his name is, he reviewed the game about a week ago, and I saw I could get it for free. I was like, I'm trying this, and I really am enjoying myself with it. I enjoy the combat and like the pacing of the game. I just think it's phenomenal. It's whatever you want to do, you can do it pretty much, and it's just you're just kind of limited to your imagination and what you want to do. You play as a few different characters throughout the game. I'm currently on the second character, but the first character you play as is kind of like a tutorial character as a bounty hunter. And it's just a nice way of teaching you games. Like, oh, it's like, here's this giant church, but there's no ladder to get on top, and I see a weapon and ammo up there. How do I get up there? And I just grabbed a couple barrels, stacked them on top of each other, climbed up top, and that's how you get that sweet, neat loot. You could also, there's like oil barrels you could throw, poison barrels, TNT barrels that you could pick up and throw at your enemies and shoot them. Set up like a little trap. You could go guns blazing, sneaking in. I just really am liking it. And like the story is super, super strange too. And it's like he plays these 5 different characters, but I don't want to say too much, but you're all the same person. Like I said, I'm only on the second character, but which is the pig man. And you don't remember, like, you used to be a normal human, but then you got abducted, and now you're a hideous pig head person. So now, whenever people see you in it's the same world you travel in, but if you go to the town you were as a bounty hunter, people don't like you because you're a monster, and they'll shoot you on sight. So it's kind of forcing me to play a little more differently, more stealthily. But if I just want to run in with a shotgun, murder everyone, I could. Essential NPCs are killable in this game.
That I don't like, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's something I'm kind of scared about with this game, but it kind of makes my playthrough more unique compared to if you were to play it, which I actually think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I wouldn't kill any NPCs. I didn't have to.
Well, I've definitely killed a few.
I don't like killing people that are not evil in games if I don't have to.
Yeah.
That's just how I play.
Well, it does a pretty good job of showing you who is evil.
Okay.
But
it looks interesting.
It's pretty fun. I've enjoyed it pretty good. I mean, it's like a third-person top-down shooter or more like action-adventure game.
It looks a lot like Diablo.
Yes. And each world or each little map you play on is kind of small, so it's easy to explore. And as I said, it's like I found a secret bed hiding on top of a cliff next to this person's mansion just because it's like, I think I could climb up this wall. Oh, yes, I could. I think I climbed up this cliff. Yes, I could. And I found one of the secret playing cards that permanently level you up during your entire playthrough. So if you find it as your first player, you use it to get upgrades to make yourself stronger, and those will carry through as the next character you play as and your third character. But then there's also these shards, I think there are, that level up your personal character, like your bounty hunter. Like they could essentially have like bullet time from like Red Dead Redemption.
Okay. Or
one of the abilities you can get is on a revolver. You could shoot all 6 bullets at once. And so it's very creative. I forget who these people are that made them, but they really did a good job, and it just came out last week, and I kind of wish I bought the game.
Yeah, Devolver published it, and they tend to kind of get some interesting like indie titles. Like normally if they're publishing, then they found like something that's really cool and unique.
Yeah, people are saying it's game of the year that no one's going to play, and I will stand behind that statement because not everyone's going to play it, because it's like, just because it's like a top-down third-person shooter kind of hurts my eyes at times because I'm used to first-person shooters, third-person shooters, and not being able to look at some of the smaller objects like a little box of ammo is kind of hard at times. But It's just a fun game to explore and experience. And like you travel between areas and random events could happen. I've met this witch and she gave me a box. She told me to hang on to the box and she'll find me. But she also told me, do not open the box. And I went to my inventory and there's the box and I could open it. And I don't think I'm going to open it.
What's in the box?
It reminds me a lot of the first Fallout.
Yes,
There's like random things that can
I
happen.
haven't played the first Fallout, but that's kind of how
Don't ever do that.
I got it for free in college for like its 25th anniversary, but have not played it.
Bad game.
I never played first Fallout. I want to describe it as the first Fallout.
I played Fallout 1 for the show, episode 6, I think, and I hated it. So yeah, I don't recommend it to anybody. Now Fallout 3, I recommend. But I just don't like the original one because you can screw yourself really bad in those games.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're able to play Weird West, give it a go. At least for like an hour. It's just fascinating.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if you have Game Pass, there's no reason to not try it.
It's also a really small download too. So there's that.
And Xbox downloads stuff really fast. Like I downloaded the Master Chief Collection, it's like 135 gigs, and like it was like not long getting it.
And of course, I've also been playing Halo with the Master Chef Collection in between all these other games. Like in between the crashes BioShock gave me just because it's fun. Multiplayer's fun. I've been playing these games since they came out, and it's just a nice little package. Well, big package. And they're still updating it, and the state of Halo Infinite is barren, we'll say. It's the reason why I haven't played Infinite since January, but I keep playing the Master Chief Collection. I joke it's the Master Chef Collection just because I think it's funny.
I am curious about Infinite, but I haven't really played any. I don't really play much Halo. It's not my thing as much. But it does look good, though. Definitely interested.
Yeah.
Oh, and one last game that I want to mention, at least from my part, is I'm going to talk about more on the show, but I have to mention it briefly. I played Rise of the Tomb Raider this week for a future episode. God, that game is amazing for me. It hit all the right spots, and if you never played Rise of the Tomb Raider, you really, really should.
I played it. Yeah, that's really cool. The thing about these like the new Tomb Raider games is that I finished like the first one, I think maybe once or twice, and then I never played the other ones, and I don't remember anything about them.
2013 is good. Rise is better, and I don't know anything about. I have never touched Shadow at all yet. That's all I got. Oh, Ron, anything else that you've been playing that you want to mention?
Yeah, it seems like we keep talking about all these old games, but that's
fine.
These are the games we're playing. A month ago, I decided, I have this PS2 sitting here, and I miss going to the arcade, especially playing the Dance Dance Revolution game cabinet. I went on eBay, bought myself a dance mat, and 2 PlayStation 2 Dance Revolution games. Dance Dance Revolution Extreme, which I had as a kid with the dance mat, and one I never played before. Oh my gosh, what is it called? Dance Dance Revolution or Max 2?
Yes.
Which I never played. It's okay. But just experiencing this game as an adult, it's just so enjoyable to me. Brings back memories and puts a smile on my face. Like discovering these old songs. Like there's a song from Silent Hill 3 and and you can unlock it. And I'm like, this is actually a pretty cool rock song. This is awesome.
Man, I loved DDR when I was younger. I miss it if I see it in an arcade, I will play it. But I don't see arcades. Or go to arcades.
Yeah, not many arcades where I live, but
there's
that in these 2 games was $50 total.
Like when my fiance and I go to movies, like they have like a new arcade in our mall because like they kind of have like an arcade and it's like a bowling alley and also a restaurant and it's like kind of the monopolized on like sit down eating. So we go we get off work, go get something to eat, and then go see a movie. And they have it's not DDR, but it's like it's some type of knockoff. And like I see kids there, and like I think one kid was filming himself the other day because he had there was a tripod set up. But I think I see the same kid there multiple times, just like in his shorts, catching his breath between rounds. So like it's some flavor of that is like still popular.
Yeah, they're crazy. Like the ones that take it, like playing both mats, and I've seen there are other types of games like this. So I'm happy to see these actual movement games still exist and still live in today's modern world.
I miss it. I had the PS2 game, but I used to have dance pads and everything, and I had them taped to a rug so that way it wouldn't slide on my floor.
Yeah.
One time, a long time ago. I used to play a lot. I love DDR.
Once a week, I'll bring up my mat and just dance for a couple hours. And at least if it's extreme, you unlock new songs and new dancers. And for some reason, I want to unlock all the dancers.
Well, that's how PS2 era was. Like, I mean, at least for me, I remember doing that a lot where I would try to unlock things in a game. Like, that was the point of it because there were no achievements at that time.
I just like it. Like I said, I'm forcing myself to play these songs and realizing I like these songs. And the game's just silly and fun, and it's an exercise, so to speak.
Yeah, it totally is.
And any last, Blair, do you have any other games you want to mention before we move on to TV shows or movies?
I'm turning around and no, I think I'm good. I don't think anyone really needs to hear about how I'm loving the crap out of Star Wars Episode 1 Racer on my Switch.
It still holds up?
Oh, yeah, totally. Or it could just be nostalgia, but I just play it on my break at work. Yeah, I'm sure I can go on for forever with a bunch of smaller games, but I think that's good. I think I'm good.
Anything else you want to mention, Ron?
Well, that's pretty much everything I've been doing. It's just a constant cycle. Play a game for a couple days, something happens, and move on to something else.
I can't do that. I have to beat every game I start, just about.
But I want to beat every game I start, though. That's my problem, too.
I make myself.
I get out of that habit. Like, I turned on Battletoads, and I played it for a bit, and I was beating my head against the wall, and I was like, you know what? Life's too short. I'm just moving on to something else.
Well, that's because that's just a bad game. So. Well,
this is the new Battletoads, like the remake that came out, and it's really funny. And it has a great animation, but it's like really hard. Kind of like the older ones. And I think I just need someone to play it with as I was playing it by myself. But yeah, if I don't like something, well, other than Horizon, which I hate played for like nearly 60 hours, but.
Oh, I will mention one final obscure
sure.
PS2 game, because I did try playing it, for a couple days. Game Informer did a replay of it when they remastered it, and because Elden Ring is so popular, this is another one of a From Software game, Metal Wolf Chaos XD.
I've heard about this a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's not obscure. That one's been out. I remember they did Broken Pixels on it and 1UP when it was like the original Xbox version. I've been wanting to play that, but I think it's yeah. I'll just hear you talk about it.
Yeah, they did a remaster of it, and they didn't record any new lines, so it's the original, like 2004. Very, very cheesy.
Those lines.
The game starts out with, so you play as the president in a giant mech suit, and the game starts out with you bursting out of the White House, yelling, "Let's party!" And then you kill a whole bunch of terrorists.
Okay.
Because the vice president is doing a coup d'etat. This is almost like too much on the nose right now. Which
I think the game takes, it's like you're playing as the 47th president, which I think we're currently on.
Oh, I can't see Joe Biden in that mech.
I think his name's like Mike Wilson is the president.
I think it's 49. I think Trump was 48.
I thought he was 45.
I just live here. I don't pay attention.
Yeah, how can you just keep your head?
Actually, I want to go up to your land. I want to go to Canada. Oh yeah, you are right. 45, and then Joe Biden is 46. Okay.
So next time you're going to hear a president burst out of the White House and say, "Richard."
All right, and then there are a couple shows I want to mention that I've been watching. I was until Netflix was mean and took away my start. I was watching Star Trek Next Generation again. I had gotten through season 3 and almost got through all of 4, and then they took it away, and I'm sad now because I was really, really enjoying Star Trek Next Generation again. Like, that show just still holds up after all these years. It's still so good, and it's never not going to be good. I don't think. I thought maybe I was going to like Deep Space Nine more and then I started watching Next Generation again. I'm like, oh yeah, you're still great. So, but yeah, now it's only on Paramount, unfortunately. But Deep Space Nine is still on Netflix for some reason, but not Next Gen or Voyager or Enterprise. Just Deep Space Nine. I don't know why. I don't understand who wrote what contracts, but hey. Blair, anything you've been watching you want to mention?
Well, as I brought up earlier, I've been watching Halo, and I don't know why. See, I never really got into Halo initially. Like, it was very weird because, like, where I grew up, everyone kind of had PlayStation 2s, and then suddenly everyone was getting Xboxes, and I didn't know why. Or no, everyone had original PlayStations, And I thought that when the new systems are coming out, everyone would get a PS2. But then everyone got Xboxes. Another reason you want to live in Canada, by the way, is Star Trek Next Generation is still on Netflix in Canada.
If only Netflix would let me use my VPN, but it will not let me use a VPN to change where I'm at. I tried.
So, yeah. So, I had a bunch of friends who were in Halo, and I was in residence, and everyone was talking about Halo, and I think it was like just when Halo 3 was announced, and I was like, okay, I have to give this a try. And so I played Halo 1 and I played Halo 2, and I was like, I get this. Like, I get why this is good. I even read some of the books.
Books are good. But
then I think I read up The Ghosts of Onyx. That was the last one I read. But then I lived with people and they played Halo constantly, and I got so sick of seeing Halo that I never wanted to see it again. So I never finished 3 onwards, even though I heard there's some good ones in there. But I mean, I'll try anything based on a video game. And starting out, it kind of got me because it, you see the elites come in and the Master Chief comes in and he's shooting them, and then it kind of cuts to his helmet and you see the HUD, and one point his shield goes, and then you hear the beeps and then his shield power up, and I was like, oh, you got me. This is so cool. But the past 3 episodes have been, he just doesn't have his helmet on or his armor. This week he was buck-ass naked. If you've ever want to see the Master Chief's ass, go watch episode 3 of Halo the series.
Why? I mean, he's always in the armor, even in the books and everything. He never really takes off the armor. It's part of them.
Actually, in the Halo book, I believe he takes his armor off once.
I guess the problem with Halo, well, there's 2 problems. One, it's too late for a Halo adaptation because Halo is still popular, but it's not the big thing anymore. When they were going to do the movie, when they literally had people in Master Chief armors delivering scripts to studios, it was when Halo 3 was on the way.
That was about 2007.
Yeah,
and
Halo was
actually carrying
red
Peter
hot.
Jackson was going to come direct or be involved in some way.
Yeah, it was going to be. It was Peter Jackson was producing. Neil Blomkamp was going to direct.
If you wanted to see what that Halo movie would look like, the Halo 3 live action trailer called Landfall Part 1 and 2 is a expertly well done 8-minute short film. Master Chief's not in it. No Spartans are in it. It's just a bunch of ODSTs and regular Marines getting their butt kicked by a bunch of brutes.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think I know you're talking. I've seen what you're talking about before.
Yeah, but that thing never really took off. It was in development hell, so to speak, and eventually all those assets and work ethic was transferred into District 9, became the Halo movie.
Yeah, there's you can see some of the warthogs and everything and the guns. But I get what they're trying to do because if you're going to have a show and the main character is the Master Chief, I guess they have to do this to an extent. But the thing about, and I mean, I've already kind of described my history with Halo. Master Chief isn't a character. He's a cool looking character, but he's just kind of the instrument that you guide. The Halo games and even the books, they're not his emotional journey. It's just he is a weapon. So
the books don't even really all follow him either.
Yeah, and if you're going to make a show, he's either going to have to be a secondary character when he's gone. Everyone's going to be we want the show to be when the Master Chief isn't around. Everyone says, where's Master Chief? So you either have to do that or you have to do what they're doing now. And it's just not working. And even the past 2 episodes, I just want to see Master Chief and Spartan shoot aliens. I want to see a grunt come out and be silly, but everything is just moving at a snail's pace and it looks not great. And some of it's getting me, but I mean, I was supposed to get 30 days free for Paramount Plus as I'm a gold subscriber, but then I've already been charged. So I guess I screwed up that promotion.
That's just weird.
Yeah, so
not only did you
endorsements
have to watch a crappy show, you also got charged for the crappy show when you shouldn't have. So
well, my parents got to watch 1883 or not. I don't know. They love Yellowstone like a bunch of other people because I share my accounts with my parents, and so it was worth that.
Just don't tell Netflix.
Yeah, and I mean, there's I think there's 9 episodes and it's on 3, and the episodes are an hour long and they feel really long. some of it is, I mean, I hope it builds to something, but right now it's just kind of on, and I'm looking at my phone a lot because I'm bored. But something I wasn't bored at, which I saw Thursday night, is Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's not high art, and it's a little bit too long at 2 hours, but like it is a Sonic's fan's dream come true. And the way I describe it is, can you imagine with the first Transformers movie, where they had a bunch of stupid human characters, instead of doubling down on the human characters, they just said, let's put those guys to the side mostly and just have Transformers. That's what Sonic 2 is. Like, James Marsden and humans are barely in it. There's barely a frame where Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, or Robotnik aren't there or together.
Well, that's good.
And they even bring in, like, there's literally, I don't want to get into spoilers, as I think, like, people should watch it, especially if they love Sonic. Like, they bring in the gun group from Sonic Adventure 2.
Oh,
and it completely makes sense. The only thing that it's missing so far, maybe they're saying for Sonic 3, is like the Sonic Adventure songs. Like, there's no Live and Learn yet. And I was like, that's what I'm dying to hear in this.
God, I love that song still.
Yeah, me too.
Hanging on the Edge of Tomorrow.
Like, singing it since I saw the movie. Like, I was so giddy. Like, there was a kid, like, Tails shows up in the biplane and some kid in the audience clapped, and I was so happy for him. And I was there with him. I was like, oh, that's Tails' plane! And it's really heartfelt, too. Like, I remember reading, I think it was Console Wars, and they were talking about how, I think, like, Sega of America and Japan were fighting about, like, what to call Tails. Like, I think one of them wanted to call Tails and one of them wanted to call them miles per hour. And then they had some speech, or I think Sega of America did some speech about how, like, Tails was, like, a loner and everyone made fun of them. But then Sonic was like, no, you're not different. Being different's cool and let's be friends. And they kind of do that moment.
That's
and
cool.
It kind of got me. Like, I was kind of choked up a bit. And, boy, there's a mid-credit scene in this, and like I want everyone to see it so bad because my fiance and I were just like uproariously laughing, and I can't wait to see how it pays off.
I need to go see this movie. I haven't seen a movie lately, but
once you see the post-credit scene, please, or the mid-credit scene, please message me immediately because I need to talk about it someone so bad.
Maybe I'll go see it next weekend.
And so Sonic is voiced by Ben Schwartz, and I don't think the kids got the John Ralphio reference from Parks and Recreation, but I sure as hell did and lost my mind laughing. Like, if you're a Parks and Recreation fan, you'll get it immediately when Sonic does the thing.
You mean it wasn't Chris Pratt that voiced Sonic? Man.
No. And man, like, I don't like giving kudos to like multinational corporations and conglomerates, but
why not?
Kudos to Paramount about how they've kind of handled the marketing for all of this. Not even going back to the first one where they just said, let's spend millions of dollars to make Sonic not look like a nightmare monster. So not only did they hire like the voice actors from Tails for the game, just fans on social media were like, I mean, you have Idris Elba's name on the poster. You have Ben Schwartz's name on the poster. Why not Colleen O'Shaughnessy? She's Tails. And they're like, okay, let's do the poster and put her name on it. And she's at the world premieres, like doing press. I'm like, that is so cool to see like a voice actor getting that credit. And man, Idris Elba's Knuckles is also absolutely hilarious. Like it's riding that like Dave Bautista Drax line in like Starfire and Teen Titans. That's how my fiance described it. It's kind of like an apt description of like how he is. And like I would say I'm a moderate Sonic fan. Like as a kid, my Sonic love was like red hot, and it's still with me a little bit. But watching this movie, and I saw kids get up at the end, and they were just running around. I'm like, this is what this is all about, man. Like I don't care that it's getting like a 50-something on Rotten Tomatoes. Like that kid loves this, and that's what it's all about. And I honestly would say, I don't know if it's like the best video game movie ever, but it's damn near close.
That's not a high bar though, so.
Well, I mean, like I saw Uncharted earlier this year, and Uncharted was it's just so shockingly average and made with no love for the source material. Like you have to be pretty lazy and I don't like using that word because I know movies and art and everything in production is hard. But you've got to be pretty lazy to screw up like an Uncharted movie. Like it's there for you. It's Indiana Jones, it's National Treasure. Oh god, they should have got Nicolas Cage to play Sully. But anyway,
well, I never understand why Mark Wahlberg is Sully, and I don't understand why Tom Holland is Nathan Drake. He's not.
Tom Holland is a bankable star who starred in billion-dollar grossing Spider-Man movies for Sony, who owns the Uncharted franchise.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand the logistics. I didn't agree with it. I was like, I haven't seen the movie yet. I want to, but I don't care enough, I guess.
Well, we saw The Lost City with the Channing Tatum Sandra Bullock movie, and I was like Channing Tatum could have been Nathan Drake. Like, he's not too old, and has really good comedic timing. Like, let him do it.
Hey, he's busy getting ready for that Gambit movie still.
And he's getting busy and ready for Magic Mike 3, and I can't wait. And I saw Morbius last week.
Is that as bad as everybody says?
Go watch the Panels of Pixels review by my friend Josh Sutton. It's not great. It's
Morbius and Jared Leto.
Yeah, it's a throwback to kind of like the Blade era of comic book movies, but not as good. So if you kind of have like a nostalgia for that, Matt Smith from Doctor Who is in, and he understands the assignments. He must have gained so much weight chewing on scenery. He understands what he's in. And the post-credit scenes just make no sense. Like, Sony just wants a cinematic universe so bad. So yeah,
they're going to get one.
I don't think they will. I don't think you're going to see Jared Leto's Morbius teaming up with Tom Hardy's Venom.
I didn't understand it, but I'll watch it someday. If it's on a streaming service that I have access to, I'll watch Morbius, but I am not going to theaters to see it.
Yeah. I'm a Spider-Man junkie, so
I just don't care. It's Morbius, and I hate Jared Leto, so I just can't.
Yeah.
Plus, I just don't care. So, yeah. Oh, Ron, anything you've been watching that you want to mention?
I generally don't watch TV and movies because I like to sit down and play games, but I just end up watching stuff on YouTube anyway. But me and one of my friends, we've been going through Twin Peaks together when we find time. We just finished watching season 2 this past weekend, and that probably took us 3 months to watch. Not because there's so many episodes, just because, once David Lynch and Mike Frost lost control of the show, it just kind of got boring, and episodes were just not that good. But the last episode of season 2, they brought David Lynch back, and just because of that, he was able to save Twin Peaks and set up the series for the return. So I can't wait to sit down and watch it with my friend, rewatch the 3rd season, because that's a very different show to what Twin Peaks is. But yeah, Twin Peaks, it's good.
Okay. I've only seen season 1 and part of season 2 years and years ago, then I never continued on.
I don't want to say it, but Twin Peaks kind of influenced how I do some day-to-day activities. Like, I now drink black coffee straight just because of the show. And
should you comment about the coffee too? This is a damn good cup of coffee at work, just randomly to say it.
Only when people are not around.
I haven't watched any of it. The only thing I know about is the Simpsons reference, where it's just like a horse dancing and Homer is just like brilliant. I have no idea what's happening.
Well, I heard that Twin Peaks was inspiration for Alan Wake, and I love Alan Wake to death.
Same.
So I finally did my homework, and yeah, it's pretty good. The first season's pretty good. I would watch the second half of season 2, then skip to the last episode of season 2, and if you really want to, watch season 3.
Where is it streaming right now?
Golly, season 3 I think is still only on Showtime. Unless you buy like the collection Blu-ray pack and get it all on disc. It's out there.
Okay.
Not as much of it should be, but I did watch another movie, because I don't want to say I'm like a film buff, but I like to watch things that are interesting to me. And I watched this 3-hour-long movie made in Russia in 1972 called Solaris. I finally sat down and watched that movie. I kind of went on a science fiction spree a couple years ago, trying to read like all the great science fiction books, and Solaris came up. And in short, it's a very hard book to read, but very fascinating. because it deals with aliens, and if humanity ever encounters aliens, we wouldn't know what to do. Like, we wouldn't even know we're encountering an alien. And that's the plot of Solaris, and if you played Silent Hill 2 recently, which is pretty much exactly the plot of this movie book.
So somebody killed somebody and then they're denying it, or what?
Well, actually, yes.
Okay.
Not to spoil it, but it's a space station off this planet Solaris that's surrounded by this like purple goo, and all these men on this space station just go insane and start killing themselves because they keep saying they see visions of things that aren't real. So they send this psychologist up in the station, and he sees his girlfriend who committed suicide like 5 years earlier after they broke up, but she acts like nothing ever happened, and they're dating again just because the planet alien is able to dive deep into your mind and pull out like deep subconscious thoughts. And I finally watched the movie, and it's kind of like an art house movie. The first hour is kind of slow, but it's beautifully shot, very colorful, until you get to the space station where you feel cramped, and golly, will it take you on a ride.
Okay.
I will. It's not for the faint of heart, but if you know who Akira Kurosawa is, the guy who did Seven Samurai, he really liked this movie too, which is kind of a cool fact when I opened my Criterion collection set, and it's like, oh, he wrote a little paragraph on this. He and the director got drunk and sang the Seven Samurai theme in Russia.
Okay. Oh, I did one show that I tried watching. I tried watching Euphoria. I watched the first episode, turned it off, and I was done. Last time I did one of these What Are You Playing, somebody had recommended it, and it's a show about Zendaya as plays a teenager who does drugs, and I just could not do it. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
It's too dark, too depressing. I was only in the first episode, and I'm just like, nope, I can't do this. I turned it off.
The first hour of Solaris, Andrei Tarkovsky is the name of this Russian director. They say he purposely made the first hour boring to make all the stupid people turn away. But
that's how you saw your movie.
But you kind of need it because, you're on Earth, it's spacious, you get feel the fresh air, and I think modern movies nowadays, like Morbius, they have 2,000 shots all stitched together. This movie, Solaris, has 150, and it's 180 minutes long. So a bunch of long takes of moss and a lake, and it's very quiet and very personable.
I will never be watching this.
But hey, you played Silent Hill 2, so you kind of get the gist.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm gonna move on to this Russian director's next movie he did, which is probably even more phenomenal because it's based off another book called Roadside Picnic, and same plot: aliens come to Earth, leave their junk, and vacate.
Why does that sound really familiar? I don't know why, but it does.
I'm getting there. So the government starts building these walls around these zones, but people want all these artifacts, and they're paying people to go into these zones and retrieve them.
Oh, now I know why this sounds familiar.
There are a bunch of mysterious things that happen in there, and you have to throw a nail or tack. If nothing happens, it's safe to go there. And these people that guide people into the zone are called stalkers.
Yeah. As soon as you said zone, it clicked why I remember.
Yeah, I was that's the key word. But yeah, he directed the Stalker movie, I think 78, and I'm excited to watch that one too.
We were supposed to cover that for the show a long, long time ago, back when I had my original co-host, because one of them, Stu, was obsessed with Stalker, which we did two of the games. Yeah,
I played the Metro games and loved them to death. I tried reading the Metro book, didn't fall in love with it. But then learning that Roadside Picnic is where Stalker comes from, and these Stalker games come from, which then influenced Metro, very all linked together. I was like, sure, let's do it. More enjoyable read than Solaris, for sure. And I'm one of these days sit down and watch the movie. Still long, and any type of art in Russia during the Soviet Union is...
Oh, yeah.
Sedition. So I kind of did feel strange watching this Russian movie with Russia invading Ukraine, but I'm like, wait a second, this guy nearly got kicked out of Russia for his views. So yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I just think it's cool.
So you're not going to go watch the George Clooney one?
That's, yeah, I think they missed the point, but maybe I should go watch it. I don't know.
I'm assuming it's not based on the same book, is it?
It is based on the same book, but instead of being a thought experiment, basic plot, how do we interact with aliens? We'll never know. Why is my dead girlfriend here? they play more about the relationship aspect instead of like the overall theme of the novel.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah. I mean, it was 2002. What do you do?
2002. Not a good year for games. I did episode of that too. God, I've done a lot. And the other thing I want to mention is I started watching The Good Place finally.
Oh, so good.
It is. We're just about done. We're on season 4. We're like 2 episodes away from finishing it. I was trying to finish it before this recording, but that did not happen. But that's a really good show. I'm really surprised how much I'm enjoying it. I came into it not really expecting much other than I like Kristen Bell, and I'm like, this is really good. So, yeah, it's definitely something worth watching. And then the other thing I've been watching, because I really like documentaries, I started watching a documentary about Andy Warhol, which I knew nothing about, I found out. It's very interesting talking about the 80s and talking about, like, it gets into, like, AIDS and stuff because he was gay, and I think he dies of AIDS, too, is what happened to him. But it's a really good documentary series on Netflix. So it's like 5 episodes long, like 5 hours or so, but I'm enjoying it. I'm learning more about the guy who painted soup cans that I never cared about, but I find interesting. So, yeah.
Kind of cool.
Blair, did you watch Moon Knight yet?
I have watched the first 2 episodes. It's fine. I was having a conversation with my friend that, like, and I will preface this by saying that I've already secured tickets to the Thursday night screening for Doctor Strange. I'm getting a little bit burnt out on Marvel.
Understandable.
Because I think it's just the last year. I mean, Spider-Man notwithstanding, because I mean, it's Spider-Man. I would say it's hard to screw up, but then Amazing Spider-Man 2 was only 2014.
And that movie's terrible.
Yeah, it sure is. But I mean, Spider-Man notwithstanding, like WandaVision was good. Falcon Winter Soldier was fine. It's like a 6-hour show that's a setup for a costume. Loki was good, but then like Black Widow was such a slog. And
what?
Eternals was a slog. Like, it was even worse.
I like Eternals.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
I just thought it was pointless. And then, like, I didn't like Hawkeye either. Hawkeye was so all over the place. So when Moon Knight was around the corner, I was like, I don't know anything about this character. So the show has to do a lot of heavy lifting. And from what I've seen people who know the character, like, it's not entirely accurate. And like Ethan Hawke just kind of looks and talks like Raiden from Mortal Kombat 95.
Okay.
Once you see it, you won't be able to unhear it.
Okay, I haven't watched Moon Knight yet because I just haven't cared yet. I'm kind of in the same boat you are.
Are you guys in like that Moon Knight core Facebook group? Because I am. I haven't read any of the Moon Knight comics. I have yet to watch the show, but being in this like die-hard Facebook group about this comic book character is super fascinating. I think there's like only 1,000, 2,000 of us, and they're the ones that made that comic book panel of Moon Knight going, "Dracula, are you in here, you big nerd? Where's my money?" And people thought that was a serious comic book panel. But they made it up.
I can't do that stuff anymore because, like, and this is coming from a guy who owns a website based on
I know
that covers comic book video games, but like, I'm over is this accurate? Is it not accurate? Who's the best? Whatever. Like, I don't care anymore. Like, everything is different, and if I wanted like this thing, I'm gonna read this thing. If I want to play this thing, I'll play this thing. Like, the movie doesn't have to be one way or the other. But just like the way people get on, like, they're so, and I get it, like, they love these characters, but it's just like, I let these things kind of stand on their own. I'm over which Spider-Man is better. What is your hot take? Like what you like, hate what you hate, like, is whatever.
Well, so far my experience being in this group, that has never been an issue. Moon Knight is Moon Knight, and they love him. And they talk about the writers of the books and make fun of some of them because some of them aren't that good, from my understanding. And
he's a very strange character.
It's a thing about certain Marvel characters where it's like the best ones almost have like an elevator pitch about what they are and what the reason why they're doing it. So it's like Spider-Man is kid gets bit by spider, uses power selfishly, uncle dies, becomes a hero to make up for that mistake. Like Iron Man is like selfish billionaire, nearly dies, builds suits of armor to right his wrongs. Moon Knight's like, well, he may be the avatar of an Egyptian god, but he also just might be crazy, and he may have superpowers, but he also might not have superpowers. Oh, also Conchu in the show sounds like Venom.
Okay.
It just reminds me a lot of Venom, and it's also, I don't know if anybody watched the show Mythic Quest on Apple TV.
No.
Oh, it's really good, except it's produced by Ubisoft, so I have a moral problem with that. But there's an actor on that, his name is F. Murray Abraham, and he's kind of like a writer from the 70s who's like vaguely racist, and he's the voice of Khonshu in Moon Knight, so it's hard to unhear C.W. Longbottom.
Okay. Then you guys have any other shows or movies you want to mention quick? Or did we cover everything you guys wanted to mention? I got one last thing I want to go out on, but...
I got a comic book I started reading.
Sure.
That I did. It's called Mind Management, or Mind GMT, by like the omnibus, which contains like the first 2 volumes, first 12 comics. It's pretty cool. It's about this airplane where everyone on it, their minds get wiped and they don't even know who they are, but one person goes missing.
Okay.
And it's about this author, this girl named Meru, and she tries to unravel the mystery and trying to find what's going on, and she learns what's going on. Like, there's this organization that's learned how to control people's minds and influence people. People, like, they're able to think to themselves to like heal themselves. Like, they could stab themselves in the chest, but they just kind of tell their body to not bleed, dispatch yourself back together. And she ends up finding this one person, learns what's happening, then her mind gets wiped, and she has to do it again. At least that's where I'm at in the story. And she knows a little bit more and more about who she is, but it's still like the same spiral, a conspiracy, and like, who do you trust? And I'm like, wait a second, why should I trust this guy who says who he is telling me the story? Maybe he's just using me. I think it's fantastic. You could buy the first omnibus for like $25 online. That's what I did, or $15 Comixology. But all the other issues, I don't know why, but they're like $100 each.
Because comics.
That's comic books, at least the physical editions. And I'm not going to tell you how much money I spent on comic books this past week, just because of this.
No, I understand. I'm looking at first appearance of Hawkeye up above me, so yeah. I understand.
I saw one of them was not only signed by the author, but he did a doodle, pretty big doodle. It took up 2 pages, from the front cover to the next page. And I thought it was at a price I could afford and bought it. So I'm going to, once I get it, I'm going to read it. And I seriously, I don't know if you tell, but I like the mind-altering forms of entertainment out there. I'm
noticing that, yes. And 2 last things I want to mention that have nothing to do with just stuff I want to update on, because I can in the show. One, I had a mice problem in my house for the first time. That was fun. I bought a bunch of humane traps and caught a bunch of mice, and it was not fun to go through that. So if you ever have mice, it sucks. But they do sell humane traps on Amazon. So it was a weird thing, but I wanted to mention it. And last thing, weird thing I want to mention is I went to Vegas for the first time this past week when I recorded an episode that you would have just heard 007. I was in Vegas.
I saw.
That is not something I ever want to do again in my life. It's a great city if you're into drinking and gambling and like people, and I did not. I had a good time, but it wasn't for me.
Looking at your pictures gave me anxiety.
Wait, it's so many people, and I felt like a jackass. And at one point, I guess some guys in the elevator, we just got him. I'm like, oh, what state are you from? He's like, we're from Canada. I'm like, oh, and I'm thinking to myself, you dumbass, why don't you just say where you from? But it made me laugh, and I did want to ask what part of Canada, but I did not, because I felt like a dumbass, so I just stopped talking. But it's a cool city. Like, it's just, but everybody's trying to rip you off in Vegas. Everything's trying to rip you off. Like, there's no water fountains anywhere you go. It's just, yeah, I just didn't like how everything is so expensive. Everything. And we were on the Strip mostly, so that's why, but still. So yeah, it was interesting. And I don't know if I'll ever go again, but it was worth a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And I did play a Star Trek casino game or slot machine and lost $20, and I was done. It was.
Yeah, the closest I came, we went to Niagara Falls on the Canada side a couple of years ago, and I played an alien based on the Ridley Scott movie Slot Machine and won $200. I'm just like, I'm getting out of here. Mm-hmm. Like, and they really are traps. Yes, like, I remember like trying to I found a Wonder Woman slot machine. I was trying to show it to my brother, and I was like, I have no idea where this is to. We've got around in circles for the past 15 minutes.
They're built that way.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I thought about sitting down and playing one hand of blackjack, but the minimum bid for like any of them was like, I think $15 something. Like, I'm not going to spend $15 just to watch it disappear.
I had my first gambling experience last month, actually, and played blackjack and walked away with money.
That's what you have to do. We won $40 on one game, and my wife just played it back. I'm like, no, walk away. We're done.
I thought it was interesting. Blackjack's one of those games you don't even play. At least I didn't. My dealer was kind of playing for everyone at the table.
Yeah, that's blackjack. You just say hit or no, hit or stand. But yeah, that was my experience in Vegas. So I walked around and got hot and spent a lot of money. I have a bunch of shot glasses now. And I did keep all the souvenir cards. And one of my souvenirs was the cards they give you, because prostitution is legal there, so they constantly give you cards of different naked women. So I was collecting the cards, me and my wife were. I have a whole bunch of them that I brought home. So yeah, because it was hilarious. But yeah, it was fun. That's all I got. I just wanted to bring that up on here. All right, and I think we should wrap up this episode. And Blair, where can people find you at?
Yeah, you can find my work. It's been a little bit slow the past little while, but I'm going to tease something pretty big for the start of May for a certain 20th anniversary. I'll just leave that there at comicbookvideogames.com. You can find me on Twitter at Blarcade, and you can go join the Comic Book Video Games Facebook page, Facebook or Meta or whatever nonsense it's called now.
Okay. And Ron, do you have anything that you want to promote, plug?
No.
Okay.
Play games, be happy, do what you want.
All right, well, thank you both for coming on for this month's What Are You Playing? If you enjoyed this episode, there are over 300 other episodes you can go listen to. You'll find something I'm sure that you'll enjoy. If you can't find everything on Spotify or iTunes, just look on Podbean. Everything is on Podbean. You can download from there. If you want to see any of our old episodes or anything that we might have mentioned during this, we have a lot of episodes we've done. We do movies, we do comics, we do games, we do all sorts of stuff. We actually went through the whole Infinity Saga with my buddy Bill Tucker, who started his own podcast, A Gamer Looks at 40. Definitely go check him out. I want to give a big shout out to my awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Hathberry. You can follow her on TikTok. And also want to please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. Only audio, but we are on YouTube if you'd rather get your podcast that way. And we do have a Patreon for as little as $1. You can vote in our Patreon poll each month, and this current one is a Star Wars poll. So, and you still have time to affect it. You have until just about the end of the month. So, just as little as $1, you get to vote in our polls and help shape the show. So I want to thank everyone for listening, and we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.